Thank you, Judge. Our next panelist is Judge Michael Wolff, who is a judge on the Missouri Supreme Court, past Chief Justice, and also law professor at the St. Louis University School of Law. So Judge Wolff, this past December, you issued an opinion, Public Defender Commission v. Pratt, which concerns in part the ability of the state defender, public defender, to decline cases in order to manage their caseload. And the decision, of course, as you know, describes the public defender having far more cases than it can handle. My question is, from your perspective, how did the defender find itself in this predicament?
Thank you. It's good to be here, and I'll make clear that my comments here are my own opinion that I'm prepared. Oh, I'm sorry. The opinion that I prepared is the opinion of the court. My comments here are my own, of course. We got to this point because our state, like a lot of places, I suppose, has a greater appetite for punishment than it has the ability to pay for it. And I'll give you a couple of statistics. And we had to look at this from a systemic standpoint as a court. And we did, and it's I think the first time in my 12 years on the Supreme Court where we invoked both our superintending and supervisory power over the system to impose a remedy, albeit imperfect as it may turn out, to shrink, to authorize the public defender to shrink the caseloads in order to provide the kind of representation that they're ethically obligated to provide. We've had, in the last several years, no increase for public defender budgets. They have 12,000 more cases. The 80% of the cases criminal cases, felonies in Missouri, are represented by the public defender. They're indigents. Just to give you an example of the explosion of our appetite for punishment, in the last 25 years, the number of drug convictions has increased 650%. The number of other convictions, non-drug convictions, has gone up 230%. Just to give you a comparison with the population statistics, since the 1990s, the population of our state has increased by about 9.3%. The prison population has gone up by 184%. I don't think we're a lot more criminal than we were in the early 1990s, but we are prosecuting a lot more crimes. We have a criminal code which is added to almost every year by our legislature. And of course, it's their job to pass laws, and by golly, they do every year. And it causes a dysfunction in the system because it doesn't recognize that defense, remember 80%, that defense is a part of the cost of prosecuting more people. Now, you can prosecute as many people as we want to, but we should be prepared to pay for it in every which way. Now, in terms of the federal response to this, I urge you to be darn careful. One of the ways we got here was by not being responsible for living within our means. And you have helped enable us to act that way, because you've given a lot of money around for police and prosecutors. Nothing wrong with that. But we've also been constrained, presumably, because funding defense is not as politically popular as funding prosecutions and funding police work. So we have come to this point where we have a system that is highly dysfunctional. We've authorized in the opinion that we issued last December, ours is a statewide public defender system, and it has regional offices. And where they reach their caseload maximum, as set by the commission, they are authorized to have a meeting with the local presiding judge, the prosecutor, and a representative of the public defender system. And they have to sit down and talk together as adults. And we almost came close to saying it that way, about what kinds of cases are you not going to prosecute? What kinds of cases are you going not to seek jail time in? Because after all, that is the dividing line between the right to counsel and the right. And I don't know whether that gets to a larger conversation, and that is, how many things do we want to criminalize? How do we want to criminalize it? I agree with everything our friend the prosecutor, Mr. Chisholm, and the defense public defender and Judge Temin have said about the impact of this in terms of criminalizing all sorts of things, having no unified vision of public safety, and the need to figure out who it is we're afraid of and who it is we're just mad at. And that's a conversation that needs to happen at the localities, it needs to happen at the states, and I hope that the Congress people will keep that in mind, that it is essentially a local problem that has to be handled in a way that makes sense in terms of what the culture and the budget and the resources and the taste for law-abidingness and punishment and so forth is in an individual state. Don't make us skew ourselves one way or the other, but make us live within our means. Help us to live within our means, and I think we'll go a long way toward solving this problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've heard